As you'll see now, it's a Le Mans start, so we're going to rejoin our commentators Chris Carter and Peter Clifford for the race, which was staged a little earlier this afternoon.
Competitors then out on the warm-up lap for this, the third round of the Honda V Formula 500 Cup round so far at Donington and Cadwell Park. This is the third round. The machines all identical 500cc four-stroke machines, but a new departure for this particular round, because for the first two rounds Dunlop tyres had to be fitted. This time it's open to any manufacturer, and that of course has increased the interest by the trade sport. Companies like Avon and Metzler have come in, and Ian Burnett and Rob Tolton are amongst the two men that will be running Avon in this particular, but Michelin are also involved. And this is, as we've seen before, the new section on the Mallory circuit. A chicane introduced to slow them down before they go into the Devil's Elbow circuit. And just to remind you that Keith Nichols was the fastest man in practice. Steve Bonham on bike number 15, just lining up there in your picture, was second fastest. Steve had quite a nasty moment here in practice on Wednesday. His bike locked up a gearbox problem with the Honda, and he in fact destroyed the motorcycle, and his sponsors, Great Western Motorcycles, very kindly rushed in and bought him a brand new bike for this race. So that's number 15, Steve Bonham. Generous and enthusiastic sponsors, and 22-year-old Steve will be keen to do something to repay their generosity. Fastest then, Keith Nichols. Keith, who is 24 years of age, from Preston, one of the top men in this particular championship, going very well indeed. There's number 5, Keith Nichols, fastest in practice. It's a Le Mans start, which means the riders will line up on the other side of the track, and at the fall of the flag will dash over. So Nichols from Preston, fastest in practice. Then Steve Bonham, second fastest. Chris Brennick, third best. Then Alan McDonnell and Jeff Johnson. Dave Leach, who leads the championship, was 9th quickest. They're lined up on starters' orders, keen to go. A bit of a false start, definitely a little bit twitchy with the running job. Away they go. It's a proper start this time. The mechanics on the line, and that was a good start by Steve Bonham. Steve Bonham, number 15, had a flyer, Peter Clifford.
Yes, a really great start. Of course, all these machines started on the electric starter, and number 15 has flashed into the lead.
In second spot then, Keith Nichols behind Steve Bonham in the general. For the first time in this 15-lap race, identical motorcycles, carefully and rigorously scrutineered, controlled. Very little they can do to them, and the battle behind getting fairly desperate, with Keith Nichols just holding off Jeff Johnson. Well, Jeff Johnson knows all about riding production motorcycles. A TT winner. Look at them through the S's for the first time, streaming through, but Steve Bonham's on the charge. He's not finished in any of the rounds so far, but Steve on the Great Western Motors Honda, charging out in front. Keith Nichols still hanging on to second place, but not for long. Jeff Johnson storms through into second spot as they go through the chicane. It does look a little bit like a bus stop, Peter, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It really does slow them down, and very tricky to get the power on coming out to make sure the back end doesn't slip away.
So Steve Bonham still the leader as they come round at the end of the first lap. 14 laps to go. There he is. Steve Bonham, a man who was very, very good during his club racing career. He's now moved up a league to join the bigger boys, and just 22 years of age, a very talented young man, a great future ahead of him. And he's failed to finish in either of the rounds so far. His confidence was very low, and he wasn't helped at all by this heavy fall on Wednesday when the bike unfortunately locked up. That bike was destroyed. New bike, as I say, from his sponsors to enable him to go racing today. And Steve Bonham now under pressure from Jeff Johnson. Jeff Johnson from up the northeast, from North Yorkshire. Keith Nichols there in third place. Through the chicane they go. Still Bonham from Jeff Johnson, then Keith Nichols. Dave Leach, the man who leads the championship, is up into fourth place.
And as we watch the two leaders here, Jeff Johnson was telling me before the race started that the secret with these bikes is smooth riding. He says even though he doesn't hang off the bike tremendously far. He doesn't have a ground clearance problem. He says he just touches the footrest on the road, but he says the way to get through the corners quickly is to be really smooth, not climb all over the bike, not do sudden acceleration and sudden braking. And he said the secret, just be smooth and fast, get a really good line and you'll get the best out of the motorcycle. Because as they're all the same, it's really the rider who can get the best out of his machine who's going to come out on top.
And Jeff Johnson, fifth fastest in practice, closing up now on race leader Steve Bonham. Jeff Johnson, 33 years of age, one of the oldest men in the race, chasing 22-year-old Steve Bonham, and it's Bonham still the leader. Jeff Johnson getting closer and closer. There are the two leaders, and Johnson looking for a way around the outside. Keith Nichols still there in third spot. Fourth is Dave Leach, and fifth is Chris Brannick, 23-year-old Chris Brannick from Southampton. Brannick, who was third fastest. Oh, and a nasty moment, and he's off. Steve Bonham got into big trouble, and that really was a nasty moment. And Steve was very, very lucky not to have been hit hard. He was actually clipped, as I think we'll see in the slow motion. And Steve says there, what did I do? I don't know what happened. And here we come again. You can see
the bike completely out of control. It's very, very bumpy coming out of Gerrard's, and it's just the bump set the front end going, and once it had slid one way, the tyre grabbed it, whipped it back the other way, and there was nothing that the rider could do to regain control.
And just watch now as Jeff Johnson goes past, just clips him slightly on the side, and that could have been far worse. So Jeff Johnson, the new leader, but he in turn is coming under pressure. End of the fourth lap, and Jeff Johnson is the leader, with Keith Nichols right with him now. So we've seen one leader go down on the exit from Gerrard, and Johnson will know that he's just going to be a little bit careful coming out of there, but Keith Nichols doesn't ease off. And Nichols, the man who was quickest in practice, looking for the inside line. Johnson closes the door.
Yes, and because Johnson had seen the accident before, he was a little bit careful coming out, and he took things easy, and the other man got the run on him coming out of the corner.
Keith Nichols looking for a way through on the inside. Johnson, the race leader, and just looking where Jeff Johnson, third in the championship at the moment with 15 points, and Keith Nichols with 6 in 9.8 place. Dave Leach, who was in fourth position, now up in the third spot with the departure of Steve Bonham. So poor old Steve Bonham, what a season he's been having. You've got to feel sorry for the lad. He's failed to finish in all 3 rounds of this competition, and in the space of 4 days he's been down very heavily on 2 occasions.
And don't forget, that was a good 100-mile-an-hour excellent there. He really did go fire it down the road at high speed, because these bikes touching about 115 miles an hour now as they get towards the end of the straight.
Jeff Johnson, the leader. Keith Nichols in second place. Number 17 leads number 5, and Nichols gets closer, and Johnson can sense it. And has Nichols got the edge? Yes, he goes through. He just needs to have a machine's length to get the advantage to hold the inside line. But Jeff Johnson's a wild old bird, and he comes back on the inside, and Johnson will regain the lead. No, he's not. Through the chicane, very much a bus-stop job, and he does slow the riders down before they come down into Devil's Elbow and onto the start-finish straight. And it's the new leader, Keith Nichols. Jeff Johnson looks over his shoulder to see if he's going to be challenged by anybody else. £40 goes to the leader on every lap, and a £50 bonus for the fastest lap from SDC Builders, the sponsor of Keith Hewan, who are here today in force and enjoying every moment of the racing.
And it does look as though Nichols gets the better drive out of the high-speed Gerrard's corner, is now pulling away from the second-place man as they go into the S's.
Nichols, Keith Nichols, the leader, the Preston rider, 24 years of age, Keith Nichols, sponsored by Bill Head of Preston, a very talented young man. Through the chicane, Jeff Johnson, ready, eager, waiting to pounce if he gets the opportunity. And they're about to lap number 27, that's Paul Goddard. 7 laps completed then in this 15-lap race. They're almost at the halfway stage. Keith Nichols, the race leader, leading. Jeff Johnson in second place. Third is number 6, is Dave Leach. Fourth is number 11, that's Chris Brannick. Fifth, 31, Phil Arms. And in sixth spot now, number 3, Mark Kilner. And Dave Leach now is trying to put the pressure, got into a little nasty moment there, going into the S's. Jeff Johnson manages to pull away as Leach has to slow down to sort out the handling. Well, certainly the bumpy Mallory Park circuit putting the handling of these Hondas to the fullest test, Peter.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And we see Jeff Johnson seems to be slowing and can't maintain his earlier pace. And it's always difficult to postulate what might be wrong here. Jeff Johnson could have abused the tyres or the suspension a bit too much at the beginning of the race. And if either of them overwork and get overheated, the performance can go off. And that's why he's now battling to hold on to second place.
And of course there is another possibility, Peter, because of course Jeff broke his leg racing last year. It's taken some time to get that right. He's still got quite a limp when he walks. He says he's not getting a lot of pain nowadays, but maybe it's disturbing him a little bit.
Yes, and he's a very experienced man, having seen one man.
Change there, David Leach just dives through on the inside to snatch second place from Jeff Johnson. Look at that bike weave. We saw Bonham go in a big way earlier in the race when his bike got into a tank stopper that he couldn't control, and Dave Leach, who closes right up on the race leader, Keith Nichols, almost did it in saying so. It's Nichols, number 5, the leader. David Leach, number 6, in second place, and 17th, Jeff Johnson in third spot. The leader lapping 58.6 seconds, much quicker than anybody did in practice.
But Leach will have to watch it. The bike's really sliding and bumping around wildly now. It's difficult to say whether it's a tyre or suspension problem. They both work against each other in these conditions. The tyre abuses the suspension and the suspension abuses the tyre. And he really will be in all kinds of trouble if he carries on pressing things at this rate.
And Dave Leach is putting on the pressure, and you can see the thing sliding there.
And of course it isn't only dangerous. When the tyre slides around and the bike bumps all over the place, it does slow the machine down. As Johnson said, if you can, you've got to be smooth. That's the way to get the best out of the bike.
And David Leach is satisfied with second place. He won third and he goes round the outside, and that's a brave manoeuvre. He goes round the outside, slots himself on the racing line, and he's got the lead. Dave Leach, one of the stars of the Marlborough Clubman's Road Racing Championships, is now at the head of this third round of the Honda VF Championship Cup. This is definitely the best round of the competition, and Jeff Johnson's got a new lease of life as well. Johnson's decided that he can win it. Leach, the leader, number 5, Keith Nichols in second place. Jeff Johnson, number 70, in third spot.
Yes, it's almost as though Nichols, when he got into the front, couldn't maintain his drive and rather lost concentration because he's back up to pace again now that he's been passed.
Dave Leach, 23 years of age, from Halifax in Yorkshire, ahead of the Lancastrian, and the Lancastrian Keith Nichols looking to go through on the inside, couldn't quite do it. Leach on the cable motorcycles entered on the one of the excellent results of this championship, is that motorcycle dealers who couldn't or wouldn't get involved in sponsorship have come back into the sport.
Yes, it's promoting a bike that they sell out of their showrooms. It's not an expensive class by any means. These bikes are just road bikes. Anyone can buy one and have a go. And we're really seeing them pushed to the absolute limit now by these three in front.
Catching some tail enders, the leaders sweep down Devil's Elbow to complete 11 laps. 4 more laps to go, and this the traffic jam that they've got to sort out. You can see the bike bobbing and weaving as Dave Leach goes round the outside. It's a brave manoeuvre, but if he can get through, it will do it. Just 0.6 seconds separating first to third as they went past us, but these tail enders may make a difference now. It's Dave Leach, the leader, number 6 on the cable motorcycles Honda. Behind him in second spot, number 5, Keith Nichols on the Billhead Preston Limited machine, and Jeff Johnson, number 17, entered by HGV motorcycles at Ruislip down in Middlesex.
And of course Johnson, by far the most experienced of this group, and he's looking for a way past, but he's weighing up what the two in front of him can do, and he knows how many laps there are to go in the race, so he'll be pacing himself and looking for the right time to pass. He doesn't want to abuse the bike too much.
12 laps gone, less than a minute a lap round the Mallory Park circuit, and Johnson looking for the inside line as Leach goes round. Number 21, one of the slower men, that was Clive Gregory that they overtook, and Jeff Johnson's lost a lot of ground there. That slower man definitely held him up. Leach with Nichols very much in contention, and Jeff Johnson, who was in third place or is in third place, has got to do something. And Nichols almost went up the back of David Leach then, Peter.
He's looking for the inside line, but these bikes are so evenly matched, he couldn't make a full overtaking manoeuvre and had to duck in behind Leach.
Dave Leach coming up to Shaw's hairpin. Nichols in second place. Jeff Johnson now has reeled in that difference that he lost when he got bought by the tail enders. 13 laps completed. No change out front. Number 6, Dave Leach. Number 5, Keith Nichols. Number 17 is Jeff Johnson. And they're being caught by number 11, Chris Brannick. So don't write number 11, Chris Brannick, out of this. There's the leader, there's the second place, there's the third, and there's the fourth man. You just caught a glimpse of him. There's the fourth man, Chris Brannick. Chris Brannick, number 11. He's getting back into the swing of things. Brannick from Southampton, a star of tomorrow in 1982, and he's come into the picture in this race. They'll be coming round to complete their last lap, and as the leaders come round the hairpin, it's a four-way dive for victory. Dave Leach from Halifax in Yorkshire, Keith Nichols from Preston in Lancashire, Jeff Johnson from Yorkshire, and Chris Brannick from Southampton in fourth place.
And Leach just seems to be able to ignore the fact that the bike is dipping and weaving and sliding all over the place, and he still holds a minor advantage over the two behind as they come up to lap the tail ender.
And Leach goes round the outside of a slower man once again, and really Nichols is going to do something. He's got to do it now, and Leach looks over his shoulder, and again Nichols almost runs up the back, and Nichols is a brave man. He goes through on the inside in the Etters, and you've got to be a brave man to do that. He holds the line, the bike slides wide, but Nichols has got in front when it matters in the closing stages, and Johnson is looking as though he's about to pounce as well. And Nichols goes wide, and Leach goes for the inside line, and it looks as though Nichols has lost one place, and I thought he was going to lose two. It's Leach, and they're going to have the big sprint round Devil's Elbow. The sprint for the line, the checkered flag goes out, and it's Leach from Nichols with Jeff Johnson third and Chris Brannick fourth. And that really was an absolutely superb race. Congratulations to all three men, and Dave Leach, a very, very happy man, and with good reason. So, Dave Leach, the man who wins second home, Keith Nichols, third home, number 17, Jeff Johnson, fourth, number 11, Chris Brannick, fifth, number 31, Phil Arms, but spare a thought for poor old Steve Bonham, who looked as though he got it in the bag and blew it.
Steve, you were very lucky.
I think so. I felt lucky.
A lot of people could have hit you, actually.
I didn't actually look. I just closed my eyes. I know they were near me, so I just closed my eyes and forget about it.
What do you remember from it then?
All I know is the front end just kept on going and going, and I just tried hanging on, kept the power on, and sure enough, in the end I went. Didn't realise it looked as good as that.
Hurt?
It did at the time. I'm all right now.
Have you done any damage?
Bike's a bit of a mess, but...
Yeah, what about yourself?
No, I think I'm all right.
You were lucky,
Bruises,
weren't you? Look
yeah.
at that.
Jesus. No, never realised it was that close.
You rode a bike off on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What happened then?
Well, mechanical problems. Just got thrown off over the top again on the entry to that corner.
You're an expensive number.
Yeah, definitely.
He knows how to rub it in, doesn't he, Gary? Well, coming up next, the main event of the afternoon, the 500cc Spring Cup. Marshall